Okay, the rear-facing camera's running. You're clear to go. Good luck.
Hello, and welcome to the very first narrated racing video by Team Cassin Racing. My name is Paul Wilson. I'm the crew chief for Team Cassin Racing, and I'll be your narrator today for this race here at Lime Rock Park in Lime Rock, Connecticut. And the owner-driver, my friend Roger Cassin, is the man behind the wheel here, and he's driving his 1956 Alfa Romeo Giulietta Spider. This is a car that he's had a lot of success with in this group, the VSCCA.
Paul, give me a count.
Roger's asking for me to count out numbers so that he can adjust the volume of his radio.
Paul, can you hear me?
I don't recall why I couldn't hear him, but he'll give it another try later. Roger is on his way to the area called the Fault Grid. This is where the cars gather before they're let out onto the track. Normally, they're lined up according to who had the fastest qualifying laps. But this particular organization does know timing and scoring. And so people are lined up merely by when they get to the Fault Grid. Unlike any other racing organization I have ever heard of. But it's done this way to try and keep the fervor of competition down and minimize the risks involved.
Paul, give me a count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10.
Thank you. My mic is adjusted.
Excellent.
Go get him, Roger.
It's going well.
All right.
Roger has such well-fitted earpieces for the radio that he misheard what that well-wisher said. But that happens a lot on the grid, people not realizing that he just can't hear them very well.
Looks like you'll have to work your way through a significant crowd.
You know, it'll give me something to do. I know what it's like starting at the front. This will be a more interesting session.
Like your attitude.
Long as I come in first.
There's that Team Cassin competitive spirit that we all know and love.
Now we're lined up on the Faults Grid, and normally when the cars are let out onto the track, they go out and line up in a couple of columns behind a pace car which is sitting out there waiting for them. And when they line up in formation behind that car, the pace car, that is considered the grid. And at high-end races, they'll have markers painted right on the straightaway as to where the cars are supposed to line up.
I decided to come down to the Faults Grid before going up into the tower this time, just in case you need something. I'm walking up behind you right now.
You gotta love cool shirts.
Yeah, I'm amazed more people don't use them.
If you watch a Formula One race on television, you'll see the grid marks painted on the front straightaway. But we're not even going to be using a pace car today. The participants are going to be pacing themselves.
Okay, the last car has entered the Faults Grid, so you'll be getting going soon. Sure enough, here comes the 3-minute warning. You are gridded 12th, but that includes loaded 23B, which we know doesn't really belong out here, so you're effectively 11th. Okay, I see you need some help with the arm restraints. I'm coming over.
I had no idea that I kept my left hand up on that transmit button on the headset so much. It is kind of creepy seeing yourself on these videos. For me personally, I just keep wondering who the hell that old man is.
Thank you.
Well, glad I was here to help. Here comes the 1 minute signal.
The reason I can tell Roger about the signals before they happen is because I'm monitoring the radio frequency that the corner workers talk to each other on.
All right, I'm going up into the tower now.
Okay. If you hear how many laps are left, keep me posted.
Will do.
Now, Roger has asked me to notify him how many laps he has left when he gets near the end of the race. But these races are based on running in a 20-minute window. So unless the corner workers and control talk about how many laps they figure are left, unless they talk about that over the radio on the frequency that I monitor, I won't be able to tell him how many laps are left. I'll have to sort of guesstimate myself, figuring that they're going to leave a couple of minutes at the end of that 20-minute window for everybody to get clear of the track after their cool-down lap and get back into the paddock area, leaving things clear for the next race to start. Sitting on the false grid can actually be the most nerve-wracking part of the whole procedure. Once the car starts moving, it all gets a lot easier. The white car that's pulling away right now, 2 cars ahead of Roger, that's the Lotus 23B that I've been talking about. And I misspoke earlier by saying that it didn't belong out here. That's not really the case. The fact of the matter is it's in a different class, a different category of car. And because it's the only one in that class, a sports racer manufactured after 1960, he doesn't really have anybody else to race with. And ordinarily, you have to have at least 3, sometimes 4 cars in the same class to be able to score points, win any prizes. That doesn't really matter with this organization because no prizes are awarded, no timing, no scoring, no official winner, actually. He is a faster car and should get out in front eventually and sort of run away from things.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Roger's just counting how many cars he has in front of him. If the cars were gridded according to how fast their lap times were, the Lotus 23B that would have been the first one off the grid, and wouldn't be any factor at all, wouldn't be involved in any of this traffic. So it would be an entirely different situation from the very beginning. He'd be at the front of the pack when the race starts and probably continually just move out in front. So right now, it's kind of unusual in that he's this far back and will be a factor as far as traffic is concerned. So as far as we're concerned, it doesn't count what he does. We're interested in how we do against everybody else. Now, while there are no official winners, the people that maintain our car for us, do all the work on it, KTR European Motorsports, they all watch very carefully these races and see how he does.
The corner workers are reporting that the formation looks good. The corner workers are saying that the formation looks good.
If the pack was too far out of shape, the starter could elect to not throw the green flag, but I've never seen that happen at a VSCCA event.
Green, 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 green.
Don't know why the blue Lotus off to the right didn't have himself further forward, but that constitutes a pass of Roger, and there's another one against the Lotus 22 and a Lotus 7. And the blue car started last, and so he's passed 6 cars in order to catch up to Roger into turn 1. And now we can see that, there's some decent space between him and Roger now.
You passed 3 cars on that start, but one was the Lotus 23, which doesn't count. So you are effectively now in 9th place.
Coming out of turn 3, we can see that Mitch Eitel is behind Roger in his beautiful Devon SS. Oh, and Mark Sindrin has passed the number 55 Alfa Romeo of Ed Sanson, and Roger follows suit, albeit on the other side of the car. And now they approach the uphill. This is a very tricky turn. You have to make sure there's no cornering load on the car when you crest the hill, otherwise it can get very squirrely on you. And Roger powers past Mark, gets well inside him going into the turn, making the turn Roger's corner. He completes the pass, and now he's going to pass the red Alfa Romeo number 473 of Ed Potter. being beside Ed and not being able to use the full width of the road on the entry is going to cost Roger a little bit in exit speed. Let's see how much momentum he can get coming up on his friend Steve Lerman, who is maybe down a little bit on power at this event. But they've got enough overlap so that Roger is giving him racing room, and they're going all the way around turns 1 and 2 side by side. But now Roger's on the inside for the left-hander, which is the advantageous position. Is the Lotus going to be able to tuck underneath him? Nope, not quite. And so we'll be coming out of the right-hander, and he's now behind Bradley Price, good friend of ours from New York. Was a street-legal Alfa Giulietta that he drives to and from the track. But because it is street-legal, it probably weighs more than Roger's car, so he manages to get by him fairly easily. Up over the uphill one more time, coming into the most straightforward turn on the track, West Bend. Now we'll go under the bridge.
That was a 1 minute 12-second lap. When you get out of traffic, you should be able to lap about 5 seconds faster.
And here comes the Lotus 23, and he is now by 2 cars, and that should keep him well out of the picture for a while.
You are currently 4th overall, but since the Lotus 23 doesn't count, you're actually 3rd.
Roger's now right behind his friend Mike Khalil in his Lotus Super 7, a really, really nice car. Very, very well turned out car. And now they're about to go into the left-hander. And, whoa, what happened there?
Mike's problem before the left-hander now puts you in 3rd place. You are now in 3rd place.
That was very strange. I would like to see that again. Let's go back and take a slow motion look at that. Well, at this point, everything looks perfectly normal going into the left-hander. Michael's lined up for a normal line. And right there, the Lotus moved suddenly to the right, and it must have been very close for Michael, and that's why he altered his line. There were a couple of cones right on the edge of the track, so that's why Michael decided to go all the way off. And you can see that the cones are bouncing around a little bit, so that he did clip them a little bit. And unfortunately, it cost him 2 positions. And now we're back. The Lotus 23 wound up in front of us because of all of that, and so we'll be following him into the uphill. This could be kind of interesting. He's exiting on the far right. He's got a lot of speed that he can pull right past that Lotus 18. And whoops, it looks like the Lotus 18 didn't see him too soon going into the turn. Now Roger pulls up right beside the Lotus 18. He's going to be able to go inside and go past him because he was on the inside, but it's not going to give Roger very good exit speed here, so the question will be to see if he can make the pass stick, and no, in fact, the Lotus 18 is going to go right on by him. But Roger stays up with him, and they are obviously overlapping, yes, and Roger gives him racing room, and the Lotus 18, because now he's in the advantageous position on the inside, manages to go past Roger. And now they go in the short chute into the left-hander. This will be interesting to see what happens here, because Roger does seem to have a bit of an advantage in the corners. And he's got, the Lotus 18 does pull away from him on no-name straightaway. And let's see what happens in the uphill. Roger's got a good run in here. Oh, look at him catch right up to the 18. He's able to exit on the inside and get right up beside the Lotus. And let's see what happens in the braking zone. The Lotus gives way. And Roger, if he gets a real good run down here in the downhill, which he does very well in, if he pulls away from him here, this looks, I'll bet he'll be able to make this pass stick. Roger pushed it so hard there, he got out on the rumble strip pretty good, but handled it properly. Didn't try and yank it back onto the track and give himself a handful of trouble.
By passing the Lotus 18, you put yourself in 2nd place behind the blue Stanguellini.
And it's definitely plenty of room behind him to the Lotus 18. Now let's see how he does pulling up behind the Stanguellini. And he's got a much better line through the left-hander than the Stanguellini. And although he's able to really catch him up in the right-hander as well. But the Stanguellini has got really good speed down no-name straightaway. He's got a lot of grunt in that car. And let's see how we do out. And Roger's doing the uphill very well. Catches right up to the blue car. Now they're headed towards West Bend. Stanguellini pulls away a little bit. Both cars do the turn fairly well. Stanguellini left a little bit of road left over there on the entrance, or the exit rather, and he leaves more road on the entrance, doesn't quite hit the apex, leaves a lot of road on the exit. That should help Roger be able to keep up with him going down the straightaway, and that does seem to be the case. And, now he's really catching up to him under braking, but they're going to be side by side. Roger's going to have to relinquish because the Stanguellini has got the advantageous position of being on the inside. Here comes Mike Khalil. He's catching back up to them as they go into the left-hander. And now we're coming out of the left-hander into the right-hander. Mike is still right behind him. Not right on top of him, but he's relatively... Oh, here he comes. He's getting kind of close. Let's see what happens when they get back out onto no-name straightaway. Roger seems to have held him off quite nicely, and he's got a really good run in the uphill, staying close to the Stanguellini, and it looked like he was actually pulling a little distance on Mike there. The Stanguellini does a much better job in the West Bend this time. Clipped the apex quite nicely, seems to be lined up very well going into the downhill. Mike's not very far behind, both Roger and the Stanguellini, but he goes very tight on the exit once again. But he's got enough straight line speed down the straightaway so that it doesn't cost him a lot. Oh, here comes Mike. He's making a bid. Do they have overlap? Well, yes, I believe they do have enough overlap. Yet Roger gives him racing room, and they're going side by side around turns 1 and 2. Now Mike has to fall back a little bit. Now Roger's going to be in a go. There's a lot of overlap, but Roger's on the inside for the left-hander. Definitely the advantageous position, and it does put Mike behind him once again. And Roger is caught up to the blue car, and Khalil is going to have to stay in third place, at least for the time being. Oh, he's going to make a bid again. He's a little bit of overlap there, but not enough.
That was a good job holding Mike off. That was nicely done. This is a 20-minute race. This is a 20-minute race. You have about 7 minutes to go.
Now for the downhill turn. Oh, we can see that Khalil is not real close to make a move now. And Roger is trying to keep up with the blue car down the straightaway. And once again, he's over to the right, which is not an advantageous place to be. And Roger makes a pass going into, will he be able to make it stick? Nope, they're going around side by side. Very difficult to pass on the outside in that situation. He's going to have to settle with being behind the blue car again, going into the left-hander. Khalil, once again, fairly close, but it doesn't look like he's close enough to make a move. No, there's a few car lengths there. Well, on the left side, he's going to... No. Now that Devin is in his way, trying to get back over to the right. And once again, he seems to be falling back going into the uphill. And Cassin makes a good exit out of the uphill where the blue car did not look like it was doing the right line through there. Once again, the blue car does West Bend well. And still some distance back to Khalil. Roger gets a good run out of the downhill, allows him to catch up to the blue car. He's drafting the blue car now. And let's see what's going to happen going into Big Bend. Well, the blue car seems to be braking early. Now Roger's well past him.
Very nice pass.
It's just a matter of can he turn faster lap times and keep him behind him.
Well done. You are effectively in first place. You are in first place. You have a clear track.
Well, with that clear track, he certainly has an opportunity to tick off some fast laps and keep a good gap, or maybe even extend the gap. Good exit out of the uphill. And now for West Bend, the most straightforward turn. Good speed through here is key to getting good speed through the most important turn on the track, this downhill turn. And Roger does seem to excel at this, using the whole road. on his exit, and the gap back to the blue car does seem to be increasing. Once again through Big Bend, which is turn 1 and turn 2. No traffic, he's able to do it exactly the way. Oh, that's a very good lead he's got now on both the blue car and Mike Khalil. Going into the right-hander. That does look like a very comfortable lead at this point. Well, with Roger out in front like this, I don't think there's going to be much exciting action for the rest of the race. So to alleviate any boredom, let's do some time traveling.
You now have a 2.5 second lead. You have a 2.5 second lead.
At this point in the proceedings, unless something goes terribly wrong, I don't think the second and third place cars stand much of a chance of catching up to Roger.
Your lead has increased to 3 seconds. Your lead has increased to 3 seconds.
I believe that the next time Roger goes across the start-finish line, he will see the SVRA's unique last lap sign or signal, which is a hangman's noose. The idea being that it stands for hang in there, only one lap left.
According to how much time has elapsed, I do believe you are on your next to last lap. I believe you will get the last lap signal next time by start finish.
We're coming up on it now.
And there it is. 1 lap to go, pal.
I'm backing off a notch.
Okay, just bring it on home. You got it made.
Now would be a good time to thank all the officials with the SVRA and for all the corner workers and officials who do this out of dedication to the sport and also make it all possible.
Checker flag, well done. That was an impressive race. Good way to end the day.
Good day. Good car. 180 water, 245 oil, 12.5 volts, and 50 pounds oil pressure.
Well, as usual, that all sounds good. Okay, I'm leaving the tower now. I'll see you down at the trailer.
Now it's time to roll credits and give thanks to all the people that help us out with this endeavor. Here we go, the good folks at KTR Motorsports with Bob Jett, General Manager. Jim Burns, their engine builder extraordinaire. The race car technicians Pat Keegan, Brian Fox, Andrew Lindstrom, Jack Daly. The panel crafter that we always hope we don't need to use after a race, Roger Patton. The KTR big rig driver, Scooter Chisholm. Lynn Bizak, who sees to it that Roger gets their invoices. Dave Handy of Sasko Sports, the man with all the race tires. Chad and Charles at Racing Radios in Atlanta. We get our AIM data acquisition and training from Peter Krause of Krause & Associates, combining the art and science of going fast. Thanks to Steve Duffy at Fast Signs Hanover, Mass. For our flags. Thanks to Taylor Brown at South Shore Custom Prints for our shirt embroidery. Bill Howe for emergency fiberglass bodywork. And Cliff Kangas of Finish Line Farm for graphics application and associate driving coaching. Thanks for watching. See you next time.